Hey everyone! Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a very real but often overlooked issue. What is a toxic parent, and what to do? If you've ever wondered what exactly toxic parenting is, how it shows up, or how to cope with its effects, then stick around. In this video, we'll cover the signs of toxic parenting, how it impacts mental health and relationships, and steps for coping, healing, and setting boundaries. It's a terrible situation, but we hope this will give you the inspiration to get through it. So, let's get into it. Part 1. What is toxic parenting? Before we jump into the signs, let's define what we mean by toxic parenting. Toxic parenting refers to behaviors or habits from a parent that negatively impact a child's, no matter what age, even young adults, and the effects on the emotional, mental, or even physical well-being. This doesn't mean that every single toxic parent has bad intentions. Sometimes, parents have unhealed wounds themselves, or may be unaware of how their behavior affects their child. Some examples of toxic behavior include manipulation, controlling actions, guilt-tripping, dismissing emotions, or using shame as a tool for discipline. Remember, toxic parenting isn't always obvious. It doesn't have to be extreme abuse. Often it's subtle and becomes clear only over time. Part 2. Common signs of toxic parenting. Excessive control. Toxic parents may try to control every aspect of their child's life, from their choices to their personal opinions. They may use money, guilt, or even threats to keep this control. For example, a parent might discourage their child from taking a job they want or studying a subject they're passionate about, simply because it doesn't align with the parent's goals. Constant criticism. Healthy feedback helps us grow, but constant criticism chips away at self-esteem. If you've been told you're not good enough or a disappointment, those words can stay with you for a lifetime. Instead of motivating, toxic parents often use criticism to assert their superiority. Emotional manipulation. Toxic parents can make their children feel guilty or obligated in a way that feels unnatural. They might say things like, "After all I've done for you," or "You wouldn't even be here without me." This can create feelings of shame and guilt, making it hard for the child to establish boundaries. Neglecting emotional needs. Some parents focus so much on practical needs, like food, clothing, and shelter, that they neglect emotional needs. They might dismiss their child's emotions, telling them to toughen up or stop being so sensitive. Over time, this can lead to a disconnect between the child and their feelings. Lack of empathy. A toxic parent may struggle to empathize with their child's experiences or minimize their pain. If you've been told things like, "You're overreacting," or "That's not a big deal," this can impact your sense of worth and make you question your own experiences. These are just a few signs. Toxic parenting can show up in different ways, and each case is unique. The important thing to remember is that toxic behaviors often create a lasting impact. So, let's discuss how toxic parenting affects us in the long run. Part 3. The impact of toxic parenting. Growing up with a toxic parent can impact us in many ways, emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Here are a few common impacts. Low self-esteem. If you're constantly told you're not good enough, you start believing it. Toxic parenting can lead to chronic self-doubt, making it hard for you to believe in yourself or take on challenges confidently. Difficulty setting boundaries. Many people with toxic parents struggle with boundaries. They may feel obligated to please others or avoid confrontation, which can carry into friendships, romantic relationships, and work. Fear of failure and perfectionism. If you were criticized for every little mistake, you might develop a fear of failure or a need to be perfect. This can be exhausting, causing anxiety and burnout as you try to live up to impossible standards. Trouble in relationships. Our relationship with our parents shapes our expectations of others. If you've grown up with manipulation, guilt, or lack of empathy, you might find yourself in similar relationships, unsure of what a healthy connection looks like. Mental health challenges. Toxic parenting has been linked to anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Growing up in a home that feels emotionally unsafe can create lasting trauma, affecting how we navigate life as adults. If any of this resonates with you, know that you're not alone. This happens every day in all cultures. Many people are on a similar journey of healing and self-discovery. And the good news, there are ways to cope and start breaking free from these patterns. Part 4. Coping with the effects of toxic parenting. Let's unpack some coping strategies and look at the effects of toxic parenting. It isn't easy, but it's definitely possible. Here are some strategies that might help. Identify and name toxic behaviors. Sometimes just recognizing that a behavior is toxic can be a huge relief. Journaling about your experiences and labeling what feels off can help you see the situation more objectively. It's also a great step in realizing that these behaviors are not your fault. Set boundaries. Setting boundaries is one of the hardest steps, but also one of the most important. You don't need to share everything with your parent or allow them to control aspects of your life. Start small, like limiting the time you spend with them, or establishing topics that are off-limits for conversation. Seek professional help. Therapy can be a safe space to process your emotions and receive guidance. A therapist can help you recognize patterns and work through emotions related to your upbringing. If therapy isn't accessible, there are many support groups and online communities that offer help. Build a support network. Surrounding yourself with people who support and understand you is essential. Friends, mentors, or support groups can remind you that you're worthy and help you learn what a healthy relationship looks like. Practice self-compassion. Growing up with a toxic parent can make us our own worst critics. Practicing self-compassion, whether through positive self-talk, meditation, or self-care routines, can start to counteract those critical voices from the past. Part 5. Addressing a toxic parent, if and when you're ready. Please don't rush into this one. Work on yourself first, and if or when you feel ready and safe, confronting a toxic parent can be part of your healing. However, remember that this step isn't for everyone. Here are a few tips for those considering it. Choose your approach carefully. Try to avoid blaming or accusing, as this can make the parent defensive. Focus on I statements like, I feel hurt when, or I need some space right now. Expressing your feelings without accusations can sometimes help. Accept their reaction might not be ideal. Sometimes a toxic parent isn't ready to hear that their behavior is hurtful, and they might respond with denial or anger. Remember, their reaction doesn't invalidate your experience. Your emotions are still real and valid. Have a backup plan. If things escalate, it's good to have a friend, family member, or therapist to talk to afterward. Addressing a toxic parent can be draining and takes courage, so make sure you have support to process your feelings. Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation or confrontation. Healing is about what's best for you. Conclusion: finding peace and moving forward. Thank you for watching and taking this step toward understanding and healing from toxic parenting. Remember, healing takes time, and it's okay to go at your own pace. You deserve respect, love, and a life where you feel safe and valued. Live your best life. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Let me know in the comments if you have questions or thoughts on this topic. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Take care, and until next time, be kind to yourself.